Good morning, Decatur Township. It's time for Coach's Corner. This is our first Coach's Corner of the year, Coach. We are getting ready to take on the Whiteland Warriors, man. And every year that is an absolute dogfight and a battle. So we're going to learn all the ins and outs of what's coming up. But first things first, let's talk about the previous week, which is one that I don't think I've ever experienced in my time in Decatur Township. I don't know about you, but going out to N'Po and getting lightninged out.
Yeah, and especially for the forecast that called for really just heat. We were concerned about the heat and thought we might get pushed back a half an hour or an hour because of the wet bulb temperature, and that didn't happen. It was humid, but then the lightning came and right at halftime, and we were going to try to wait it out as long as possible. Both coaches agreed on that, but the lightning just wasn't going away, even though it was off in the distance. Referees are taught that the athletic trainers actually said that it's far enough away that we could probably play, so we could have practiced if we were at home, but officials are taught that if they see lightning, then they've got to clear the stand. So just a weird circumstance. I think both teams obviously did some things pretty well. So we both wanted to play. We were willing to stay until midnight, but it just wasn't going to clear up. So tried to get it in the next day, and the officiating crew that we had for Friday night was a college crew, so a really good crew, and they had a college game scheduled for the next day. So, Brian Murphy, the AD at N'Po, really good friend of mine, used to coach with at Warren Central. We tried to scramble and get officials, but we could only get a JV and freshman crew, which is a three-man crew, and neither AD were comfortable, Derek or Brian, with a three-man crew for a game of that magnitude. So, Switzerland tie, ends in a tie, it is what it is. I think if it's one score one way or the other, we may have tried to fit it in the next day because both teams thought that they had a shot, but since it was a tie, and we just said, hey, let's move on to the next week. But yeah, very, very weird game at the end there.
Well, and I was lucky enough to be there, and I'll tell you, a lot of positives, man. Our offense was clicking. We had kind of talked a little bit before we went on air about, man, Bo Polston was in fuego that night. He was lighting it up.
He was. I think the key that Coach Lyday and Coach Jefferson do a great job with Bo, but have done a phenomenal job. Kind of our goal and key in the offseason was to just be more efficient in the passing game and take quick game and hit the open man early. That's the first read, and kind of clearing up our passing game a little bit. Coach Lyday has been instrumental in kind of becoming our pass game coordinator, and he does a great job. But Bo has bought into that, and I tell him he went 9 for 11, which is over 80% completion percentage, which is by far his best. But the four passes that were the short game, one went for -2, and it was complete to Kaz, the first play of the game. And then the 3 hitches that all went for 5. So he was 4 for 4 for 13 yards, but those 4 passes, because he just hit the quick game, the early read, it opened up the other things later. And I think he's progressing and seeing that. So really proud of Bo. But again, had a clean pocket. Our offensive line, man, they came a long way in 1 week. Did a phenomenal job. So, props to them. But yeah, very efficient passing game. Was a big key to success.
Well, let's talk about Bo's other 10 guys out there. I felt like we ran the ball pretty well. Passing game, like you said, was on point. Who were some of the guys that stood out for us on Friday night offensively?
Yeah, well, it all starts up front with the offensive line, and they did a good job. We really felt like that Caden Cole and Alex Serber played a lot of snaps against Columbus North, probably too many, especially early in the season.
Sure.
So we really wanted to focus on making sure Al was playing offense and a little bit less defense, and that Cole was playing more defense and less offense. So we slid Caden Capps in at left tackle, who's done a phenomenal job. Brilliant kid, 4.4 GPA.
That's awesome.
Knows his assignment every play and is going to give you everything he has. So him stepping in for Cole so that Cole could focus on defense, Al playing more offense, I think, solidified the line. But how far they came. Columbus North was a struggle, obviously, but one more week of communication. Al being in a new position at center, still has some left guard mentality in him, and he communicated much better this week. So props to them. But some other guys that stand out, obviously our perimeter guys. Dodo had a phenomenal game. We've got a lot of speed with Pharrell Carter and Kaz Hicks and Carson Ison and N'Po, and then Hunter Harvey we also inserted in there because Bonnie's so important on defense, and he's still going to be a factor and a role on the offensive side of the ball. But, again, that's another one of those players that we said played way too many snaps against Columbus North and just didn't feel like himself against them. And then he was himself defensively. So Hunter stepped in and did a great job.
I feel like he's had, if you look at both games thus far this year, I feel like Hunter has really come up a notch.
Yeah, he has.
He was a kid. He was really good last year on JV and in his limited time with varsity, but this year he's really stepped up. And I mean, I've seen him and said his name plenty of times, along with Kaz Hicks. Kaz Hicks is on another level this year.
Yeah, again, we have some really intelligent football players with high football IQs.
Yep.
And the two guys you just mentioned are, at the top of that list. I mean, as a sophomore to get on the field with all the offensive skill guys we have for Hunter Harvey, it just says a lot about him.
Yep.
I call him CMC Junior, little Christian McCaffrey, because he can do it all.
Yeah,
he blocks, he runs, he does tackle too because he plays safety, but he can run the ball, he can catch the ball, he can block. He's a jack of all trades. You can put him in a lot of different places. So it kind of lends itself to spreading people out and putting him as just that fifth guy in the rotation that is smart enough to play a lot of different spots.
Yeah. I don't know, back in the day when we played it, you call him a lunch pail kid, man. He's always blue collar, bringing his lunch pail and putting in work, punching in the clock,
Absolutely. And then, Rel and Carson, unbelievable receivers, great hands, great route running. So we feel like we're just scratching the surface a little bit of our new identity on offense, and we talk about that all the time. As a running coach, Coach Enright, I always want to run the ball downhill, and we're still going to do that in different ways with Bo and N'Po, but we need to spread people out a little bit more. We don't have a tank in Albert Aguirre as a sixth lineman, so to speak. We're just different. So figuring that out, getting a week better with our offensive identity was really key. And then, spreading the field, making teams defend 53 1/3, the width of the field, and getting the ball to all our playmakers is kind of the key. And Bo did a great job distributing the ball and got a lot of guys involved. So.
Well, and I think a lot of coaches, probably including yourself, these winning these first few games of the year are nice, and it's nice to go undefeated, but you want to be at your peak when it's sectional time.
Yeah, everything we meet and talk about is how can we be the best in November?
Correct.
What can we do now to prepare us to be playing our best football, when there's frost on the pumpkin?
Now, I know we talked about how nice the offense was this week, but I'll be honest, watching the game Friday, our defense was just a totally different group of gentlemen Friday night. They were everywhere. They were flying. We talked about being fast and physical the Decatur Hawk football way. They were every bit of that Friday.
They were. There were some big hits. There were some guys flying around hitting people. And we were without number 4, Michael Campbell. Bryce Johnson stepped up as a senior, stepped into that role, did a phenomenal job because he stepped in. Chris Hill stepped into a linebacker role and did a phenomenal job. So just two guys that probably made their first big Friday night impact in a big game like that against number 1 New Pal at their place. Couldn't be more proud of those guys, but Braylon Morris continues to be a consistent rock in the secondary. He was our defensive skill player of the game. Just very smart football player, great tackler. I mean, he'll come down to the box and he, you never see him tackle up high. He's going to take your knees out. And he did a phenomenal job, but having corners that can lock down the receivers on the outside and Kaz, Rel, and John is huge for us. And then Bonnie had a great game. Smitty, just looking at the stats, I told Smitty yesterday, I was like, man, I know you didn't get defensive skill player of the game, but you had 10 tackles and a tackle for loss
in a half
of football. I mean, that's impressive. So just a lot of great performances, but you're right. Like I thought we played faster. We played more physical the Decatur way. So that was great to see. The
other thing that stood out to me is I think we had 3 sacks and a half, 4 sacks and a half. I mean, that's you're doing your job pretty darn well.
Yeah, and again, I think teams, when you cover as well as you do in the secondary, the quarterback thought that he had to pat the ball a couple times because his immediate read wasn't there, and then Bryce came off the edge and made a sack.
Yep.
And it was great to see at the end of the half even having 7 athletes on the goal line because they had 1 play left to throw it up, and he had nowhere to throw. We had a 2-man pressure, and we got a sack. Al got a sack on a 2-man pressure, which is unheard of, but it's because there's nowhere to throw the ball. And
right.
What a jump from week 1 to week 2, where our secondary kind of looked discombobulated a little bit. Just a couple coverage errors that they made, just communication-wise, not talent. You know what I mean? And they locked in this week in practice.
Well, and those that aren't inside the building, we've had some new coaches come in. We've had some philosophy changes as far as defense and things. So, this is all kind of like an Anthony Richardson situation. They're all trying to learn on the job while they're here, while they're working, and there's no replacement for experience and going out and playing the games. And I think that's a lot of what it is, if you ask me. No doubt, and that's why I'm glad that you don't have to win a certain amount of games to make the playoffs, because we're by no means a finished product. We'll get to that point, but having Coach Winters come in, a little bit different philosophy than Coach Gooden has been, and just us gelling and getting on the same page and having that belief in him and us and trust is always huge. So we got a week better in those areas. Sure. I'm really proud of our kids and our coaches, because it's tough to have the expectations that you have, get blown out at home, and then you gotta get back up. Right. You got to go and get better, and our kids did that. I think a little team bonding always helps. We had parents bring in a huge spaghetti dinner and feed the kids, but the more important thing that night was a game of hide and seek that the kids had, led by Bonnie and Serb and those guys. But they played hide and seek in the school building, I guess, for a couple hours and had a good time. So every Thursday we got to schedule a hide and seek game for these guys. Let's talk about the third head of the 3-headed monster, our special teams. Week 1, that was a big standout. Kaz running back a kick, but it's how nice is it to have Ashton Vogel? He can basically do what you ask him to do every time he kicks, almost.
Yeah, it can't be understated just how amazing he's been and the continuous improvement just each year because of his consistent work ethic and attention to detail. He does it the right way, and he does it every day. He's a part of the team. He's been voted a captain. I don't know in all the 21 years that I've coached, that we've ever had a kicker be voted as one of the 6 captains.
And rightfully so. I mean, those of you that know him, or those of us that know him, I mean, he's as good a person as he is a player.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so to see him continue to improve and get better, we don't need to practice kickoff very much, because unless there's a stiff wind coming at him, it's going to go in the back of the end zone. It's going to be a touchback. But you're right. Just our kickoff return team is such a weapon. We've got 6 guys. 2 in the back with Kaz and Dodo, and then the 4 right in front of them can all return it as well. Hunter Harvey had a great return across the 50.
Ison's had
had 2 good returns. So if I'm the opposing kickoff team, I'm a little concerned about where to kick the ball. Right. Our starting field position's been amazing. I mean, it's been across the 50 most of the time. So very big weapon.
Like you said, that's always great. A lot of schools don't have those kids in that next row up that's going to take the ball and
100%.
Get upfield with it. And go, hey, I'm not just going to lay down here where I fielded it. So that's awesome that we have kids that are confident enough to do that. And that's the yards within the yards that we always talk about. Those extra yards, man, they're huge. So. All right, well, let's move on to this coming weekend, Friday night, man. The Whiteland Warriors, the vaunted jet sweep offense of Darren Fisher, they're coming into town. Yeah,
like living Hall of Fame legend Darren Fisher, been there for a long time, and he's got a unique offensive system that he runs, the fly sweep, where there's a jet motion every play, and you have to have really good eye discipline as a defender and read your key, not fall for the eye candy of the motion. So we've been locked in this week at practice, just trying to formation adjust, because they run a million formations, and then everybody be on the same page with who's got what, whose responsibility is to tackle the dive, because their best player is number 21, Slate Valentine.
Has been for a few years now.
Yeah, and then his brother before that, Chase Valentine. So a lot of Valentines been through the Whiteland program, and he's no different. He's a great running back, and he can take it to the house on any play. So got to have good eye discipline, read your keys, and tackle extremely well, which you talked about earlier. We tackled a lot better against New Pal than we did against Columbus North, so we got a week better there. But got to get these guys on the ground, especially number 21.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure you'll agree. They're not very far removed from a state championship run themselves 2 years ago. So the year before us, they were in the state finals. So we've got two teams that have pedigrees. Going at it. It's always a big battle. Always.
Yeah, it seems to be between us and them almost every year for the conference title. And like you said, Mid-State's been represented in the state championship in 5A the last 2 years with them and us. So. Youth night, Jersey night, it should be a fun atmosphere, great night. Weather looks good. So we're excited. It's September, and we don't have a win yet. So we're looking for our first one, but we need all the support we can get there at the game.
No better time than the present to start.
Absolutely.
Get that first dub against a big dub and a feather in your cap in Whiteland.
Yeah, that would be huge, just for the expectations that we have for ourselves, not just the outside expectations. Expectations from media are usually based on the year before, so we knew that going in that we might be ranked number one without earning it yet. Yeah. And we showed some of that dogfight mentality that we had last year in week 2, and we're just going to try to continue to build on that so we can notch one in the dub column. So
all right. Well, when we come back, we are going to talk to 3 of our standout players, Ashton Vogel, N'Po Dodo, and Brycen Bonawitt. All right, folks, we are now here with a handful of our standout football players from our state runner-up team from last year. A lot of these are some familiar faces to you guys. Number 11, N'Po Dodo. He's our most recent touchdown recipient. Made a nice little tippy-toe catch in the back of the end zone. Glad to have him. Got the man in the middle making all the stops, making all the plays, Brycen Bonawitt. Had some nasty, nasty hits Friday night. I remember seeing those. And the foot, Ashton Vogel, making all those long kicks and extra points. You can set your watch to this gentleman on extra points. He's always on time with them. So glad to have you guys. So we're going to ask you some questions, and we're going to get to know these young men a little bit more here. So let's start with you, N'Po. If you could be any animal, what would you choose to be and why?
I would choose to be a cheetah because I can run fast and, juke people out.
All right. Cheetahs.
I'd probably choose any type of really bird because I think it would be really fun to fly and see the world from all the way up there.
All right.
I would be a bald eagle so I could fly all across the country and be safe.
All right. So we got a couple flyers and one runner. All right. So since you have the mic, Ashton, what's your favorite dessert? This ought to be interesting.
Probably some raspberry ice cream.
All right.
Raspberry ice cream.
It's very highfalutin.
I'd have to say banana pudding. I think that everybody knows that if you are on the football team.
All right. Banana pudding is the official dessert of Decatur Central football.
I'd say some cheesecake.
All right. Yeah. 3 pretty good answers. All right. So, Bonnie, we'll go with you on this one. What is your best memory from high school so far? I like that question. That's good.
I think my best memory would probably be playing at state last year. That whole season was just really fun. I think I built a lot of relationships with people that, it was just really fun.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That was a good time.
Yeah, I'd say by far state and just hang out with my friends on the weekends.
Mr. Dodo, how about you, sir?
I don't want to say the same answer as them. So
Hey, it was a good time. I can understand.
It was a real good time. But I'd probably say, I got to go with state.
All right. Hey, there is nothing wrong with that. That's some of my best memories in school were state championship events and stuff, so I can definitely relate. Since you have the mic, N'Po, put on your leadership upperclassman caps here. If you could give an underclassman one piece of advice, what would you tell them?
If you're a freshman, to keep your grades up and don't slack.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah. That's good advice.
I would say definitely focus on your grades, but also make sure you're taking the right classes because I didn't take the best classes, and now I'm stuck with 7 classes senior year. It kind of sucks.
No, I can understand that. That's good advice as well.
I would say have faith and cherish every moment.
All right, good. All right, Ashton, since you have the microphone, what is your favorite college football team?
Michigan Wolverines.
He's lying. I'm definitely a Michigan fan too, but Ashton's lying.
So we're not sure.
I gotta go with Oregon.
All right, we got to quack the ducks.
Sir.
All right, give that mic to Mr. Bonawitt here. Invisible, time travel, or superhuman strength? Which one of those is the best superpower?
I have to go with invisibility.
All right.
Just because I feel like you could like disappear whenever you want and do whatever you wanted.
All right. Invisibility. How about you, sir?
I'll go with time travel.
Oh, he wants to go in time.
Yeah, I'd probably go like 1950 or something.
Big fan of hot tub time machine over here.
Yeah, I think invisibility, because like you just turn invisible and then like do whatever you want, you know.
All right, N'Po, what is your favorite uniform combo? I know mine, but
Favorite uniform will probably be blue on white, blue top, blue white pants.
all right, the old fashioned.
I'd have to go with blue on gold.
All right.
I think they complement each other.
The
very well.
ALT uniform there, the alternate.
I'll go with white on white.
See, I'm with you. I'm white on white on white. White helmet, white jersey, white shoes. Make it all white. Look like angels out there. All right. Last question. We'll start with. You want to start, or you want Bonnie? All right. Ashton's going to start with us. What is one key to beating the Whiteland Warriors? Oh, it got deep all of a sudden.
I'm just a kicker, but I'd say stopping their run game.
All right.
I think stopping the run game is important, but I think they lack. They're very lackful on their defense in their secondary. So I think we need to throw the ball. They're not very good.
All right. Stopping the run and passing.
Nice. I feel like key to winning against Whiteland would be just staying physical and staying together and playing as a team and going out there and competing.
All right. Hey, I couldn't agree more with all those things, guys. So, hey, we appreciate you getting up early this morning and coming and talking to us. So, folks, if you want to see these young men do their thing, come on out Friday night here to Decatur Central, 7 p.m. They're going to be taking on mid-state foe Whiteland Warriors. And I'll be honest, guys, the conference usually is on the line between us and Whiteland. It's always a heck of a game. So come support these guys and watch some great football. We'll see you then. I think if you said, hey, who are the three leaders of our football team, other than maybe Bill Polston, those three guys are the ones that come to mind.
100%. We have the kids vote on captains, and this year we wanted to try to incorporate a few more than last year because I felt like we had more leadership. So we voted for 3 seniors and 3 juniors. The 3 senior captains are those 3 guys. They were voted on by their players and coaches, and then the 3 junior captains are Bo Polston, Kaz Hicks, and Alex Serber. So,
there you go.
Great leadership.
6 awesome guys. I would agree totally with your choices.
Yeah, so proud of those guys just for because, really it comes from your leadership. Coaches, it's tough when you have a loss and we're trying to point thumbs and not fingers and get back to the drawing board on what we need to do, but it takes that leadership through the week to try to continue to grow and improve and pick yourself up off the mat when you get beat. And those 6 guys did a phenomenal job of keeping us together. So.
Well, Coach, I'm excited about Friday night. So if you don't have plans, Friday night, 7 p.m. here at DeVere Fair Stadium in Decatur Central, the Whiteland Warriors are coming, and they're going to be taking on our Hawks. Hopefully, at the end of the night, we're 1-1-1. Weird record, but I would like that a whole lot better than 0-1-1.
For sure. Yes, let's get a dub. Come out, support the Hawks. Jersey night.
Wear your jerseys.
Wear your jersey. Youth night. All the little guys coming out. So that's always a fun night for those guys that look up to our varsity players. So it should be an awesome evening of football. Come out and support.